All right, do-it-yourselfers. I'm working on a Dodge Sprinter 3500. This happens to be a motorhome, Itasca Navion Winnebago VU. It'd be applicable to any V6 diesel by Mercedes-Benz. And I'm going to do a quick oil change and capture it. Let me get down here and show you. You need a 13 millimeter initially. Here. There's a 13 millimeter that comes out originally. Just right under the front end is your oil drain pan. Now, I've taken the 13 millimeter out and drained the oil. And in place, I've installed a Fumoto that is makes it easier to do oil changes. And I did a separate video on that if you want to watch that. Otherwise, you'd use your factory bolt. Now, there is a little washer that goes on these. When I took mine off, it was missing. So, but there are a set of washers that I have that I would put back on if I was using my factory. But this has a washer on it when you buy it and replace it, so it's already been installed. Now I've drained it in a large drain pan. Now there's some discussions of 12 to 13 quarts of oil to fill this. What I'm going to do is I always measure what I've taken out and start with that, and then use my dipstick to ultimately determine. Do not overfill these. You want them between the add and fill mark. All right, so that's draining the oil. Let's go up top and look at now removing the filter. It's pretty straightforward too. Come up here on the top of your engine, and here's your oil filter. Again, it's on the driver's side. It's pretty simple. I can just pretty much undo mine with my hand, but if not, you'll need a wrench. And there's your filter. There's your cap. You'll pull that out and replace it. Now, to make easy access for this, what I did was remove this little vent hose. It just pulls out. Then I just literally lifted this breather cover off the top, moved it to the side so I could get to this. And you can see they label this 2 Newton meters. They want it tightened back to, it looks like 25 there. So we'll get this out, and more to come. Okay, now I did measure, and I took out 11.5 quarts just from the drain. So I'm going to figure there's probably at least a half a quart that sits in that filter. So I'm going to start by putting 12 quarts back in, and then I'll use my dipstick from there to see if I need any more. But coming out of the engine is roughly 12 quarts total. Now, if you read the Sprinter manual, it says that you can use up to a quart of oil every 620 miles, so you do want to use your dipstick and check your oil regularly. But that's all it is. So let's put 12 quarts in. Okay, and with your old filter removed, you'll be taking off 2 old washers too that'll come off. You got a larger one, you have a little small one that comes off here. So be sure you replace them. One of them goes around the ring down here at the bottom, and then one sits right in here. Then to remove that, you might want one of these little pick tools to make it easier to get under it and remove it. You can see I've reseated a new one. I'm going to push my new filter in, install it, and get ready to tighten it down, 25 Newton meters, and then I'm going to start filling with oil. Okay, I put 12 quarts in. As you can see now, I've put my filter and tightened it down. Again, that's Newton meters, 25. Over here, I put 12 quarts in, and crank the engine forward a little bit. One thing I noticed when I first pulled this stick, it looked beautiful, but now it's sucked in oil into that filter, so it's a little low. So I'm going to put another half quart, I'm going to check it, and then I may end up putting 13s on it. In some places they say 12, some 12.5, some 13, but you can see on the stick I'm a little bit low. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a half and check it to 13. Now it's good to check your engine oil when it's hot. I know the engine's running, you know, so I'm gonna double check all that. But that's all it is now. On this Dodge Sprinter 3500 V6s. Okay, Dodge 3500 Sprinter, and I'm draining the coolant, and I wanted to show you. I'm gonna shine the light because it's hard to see. If you look down here, if I can position this phone in the light, there's a valve that has to be open here, right there where it's marked. It's got a mark on it, and I still don't know if you saw it, but let me try to show you with my hand. Get my hand down here on it. Here, right here. That has to be turned 180 degrees. Now to effectively do that, you're not going to be able to do that by hand. You can do it about 90 degrees, but you will need a small pair, I mean small, like pliers like this, so you can reach in there and turn that. And you're gonna turn it about 180 degrees, and when you do, have that reservoir open. You can see it's drained out. It'll drain out directly below. There's draining. Now I'm using Z48 replacement, Xerox, I guess it's called. But there's again, that open valve is on the front end here. It's really hard to show you, but it'll have a yellow marking that'll be turned up. And what you'll need to do is, all right, now I'm shining the light down there on it now. The yellow marking right on the front, but you'll see it, and you'll turn that with your pliers. And you'll know when you've turned it enough because you'll hear your coolant start draining out. It'll drain pretty fast. You'll just reverse that process to tighten it and refill your coolant now. You can do a flush, but I'm just going to do a drain and replace. And you can do it a couple of times too if you like, to enhance the chances of getting most of the fluid out, putting new in. All right, again, a Dodge 3500 Sprinter, Mercedes-Benz coolant change. All right, now if it's easier, you can come in from the bottom here. There it is, and reach over and open that up, which you turn it counterclockwise to open it. Then you got to turn it back clockwise, and on top of there is a yellow mark, but that's the valve. Now it has a little side piece where you could put a hose to drain too, but that's all it is to opening it. All right, so I did measure and I took out 7.5 quarts, so this holds, I believe, 10 total. So you get the bulk of it out. You don't get all of it out of the block, but you get the bulk. Now this is what I use, Valvoline G48. I think I said Z, but it's G48. It's blue, and that's what mine uses. Now some of you out there have Sprinters that probably use that pink stuff. It's different, but mine is the blue. So I'm going to put now approximately 7.5 quarts back in there and call it another job done. So thanks for watching. All right, and I put about 7.5 quarts back in, and now I'm going to bleed the system and let all the air get out of the system. So I've got the engine running and open a little bit there, so it can get all the bubbles and all the air out of the system. All right, thanks for watching. All right, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and replace this air filter here. And that's the number. And so to replace it, it's got hinges on the back. All you need is these suspended bolts. They're Torx. You undo them, and then since it's got springs on the back, you can just open it and replace it. So I'm going to put this new air filter in, and I'll seal it back up. And this is an 07 Sprinter 3500 and a Tasca Navion Winnebago product. But this would apply to any of your 3500 Sprinters in that year range. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Alright, this is a 07 and I'm doing a fuel filter change, and I'm really not going through the procedures one by one more than just giving you pointers. Now this is an 07, so it's 15 plus years, pretty old. But I did want to tell you that these are different than the later models. Some ways they're simpler, but there is a little like circlip, almost plastic circlip that sits in here. That's kind of a locking pin for this top cover. Well, over age, I was able to get it off. I mean, it easy enough, it slid out. But putting it back, it's so brittle, it broke. There's also a ring on each side of this, and one side of it also broke. As careful as I was, because I knew going in to look for that. But to take these and replace these fuel filters, the early models, you take these two little Torx screws out, and you can pull that water separator out, and then you'll put two new O-rings on it, and then it'll slide back in. Now to get it out, you twist it clockwise, pull it out, work it out from under this fuel line. I guess that's a fuel line, but when you put it back in, then go back counterclockwise and then put your little screws in. Now while here, I went ahead and changed mine out from them old German clips to these new screw-on clips. There's your little power cable that comes out. It's real easy. You push in on one side and it comes right out. I didn't take any other screws out bracket-wise, other than I just come back here with a 5mm Allen, loosen that up enough to where I could then spin this and just pull the whole filter out. So it's fairly simple. Now because I don't have that little plastic circlip, I just put a little zip tie in here, which will do the same thing. I'll probably order another one at some point, but this will work fine. The pressure and all really is being held with these little Torx screws. But that's all it is really to changing these. They are a different filter depending on the model you have, so make sure you get the right one. This is an 07, sold as an 08, but here is the H278WK is the correct filter. Now when you get it, you'll have some supports you'll have to remove. You have the little covers, you take them off before you install your new one. Now to get to it, of course, you just remove your breather cover. Now I didn't unsnap all that. I basically just set it off to the side here. So, but really, once you've done it, it's not very complicated, pretty simple actually. These early models, I would say, are easier access probably to do them and get them done. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Alright, I'm under a Dodge 3500 Sprinter or Mercedes-Benz, and I'm working on this transmission change, fluid change. And I thought I'd show you. Here's your transmission pan, come right in the center, come back, and what you've got is little T30 bolts all around the pan, and you got a 5mm hex here, and I still have not been able to break that yet, so I'm going to have to work on that. But I also find that the wonderful engineering, these bolts, some of them are right here at cross members, and to get these back ones out in such a tight space, the easiest way to do it is to get you a little T30 If I can show you this. Little T30 here. Just a little small one. And then get you a 1/4 inch wrench. And when you put that in, you can use that 1/4 inch wrench to get around it and loosen them up and get them out. Now the rest of them are straightforward. I mean, they're easy access, but when you get back here onto these cross members, you need to get under there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap a 5 in here. It's gonna take a lot of pressure to break this. And I don't want to strip it, so I'm gonna try to oversize a little bit maybe and see what I can do to get that out. Ultimately, I'm wanting to drain this, then take this pan out, clean this up, put a new filter and all in it, so more to come. All right, now this is looking back at that cross member installed, and you can see it supports the transmission on the back end. There's a center bolt here, pushed up in there now, bolted in. And then there's 2 on each side here. This side and the other side. That's what holds that cross member, which provides the transmission support on the back side here. Now, if you remove that, then you can raise that transmission to get your pan out, to change your filter. Otherwise, like I said, you would have to take this center bolt out, rethread it at least 6 or 7 deep. You would have to take the 2 bolts down here where that exhaust bracket ties in here. It ties in over, it comes across. Loosen them up so that you have enough to push up, because this is the problem here. I'm looking upside down, but this is the problem here. The pan can't clear the front cross member and get over the filter without raising this transmission. And that's what I've done now. All right, so this picture is kind of distorted because it's upside down and sideways and all, but it's the only way I can show you. So, all right, now that's with the new filter changed, and re-torqued it and put the pan back on. So we'll go up top and put some transmission fluid in. All right, I wanted to make this video also to show you that if you take the cross member out, then you can easily jack up the transmission here. You can see I have a bottle jack that helps you to get that pan out. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to take the cross member out, which is not that difficult actually, there's a center bolt here, and then there's 2 on each side. Here, and 2 over here. And you can see I put anti-seize on them. What you could do is remove this center cap here, rethread that bolt, and then loosen this bracket. This bracket goes over to the exhaust. So you'd have to loosen these, bring them down maybe 1 inch, and then you could probably jack off of that bolt with a piece of board and accomplish the same thing. But I wasn't going to risk it. You could thread that bolt in and rely on the threads of the bolt to push that transmission up. But you can actually push it with your hand for the most part, but I didn't want to take that chance, and it was only taking 4 more bolts out. So I went ahead and removed the cross member, then jacked this up enough to where I could get that pan out and then change that filter. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to do it. Now, if you have a later model, I think you can, but with these early models, that cross member sits there and there's just not enough clearance to get it out. All right, more to come. All right, now to finish this out, what I've done is I've got 3/4 inch just old heater hose, and I pushed it over that field plug so it wouldn't leak on the side because it's such a small hole. And I'm putting in my tranny fluid now. And the system holds, I believe, 7.5 quarts. Here again is what I'm using, Titan ATF 4134. Approved for sprinters. And I've got a dipstick too. I can go down there and check it, but I always measure what I take out and use that as a reference point of what I need to put back in. Now, there's another procedure to go ahead and flush more of this out. I'm not going to cover, it's covered in other videos, but anyway, I've shown you how to get access to change your filter and get that pan off. And then I'm doing just basically a drain and fill here process. So you can see how I've got my funnel up top, going to my heater hose down on that valve, that fill point, and that'll keep it from leaking out the sides. And that's it, doing a transmission fluid change. Thanks for watching. Okay, now I have the vehicle crank, and I have been shifting through the gears, letting it warm up. And here's that check dipstick that you use. Now, when you push the dipstick down in, you're going to still have about 3 inches. It'll bottom out, and you'll still have 3 inches of dipstick on the handle side. So don't shove it all the way down in there. You'll have to leave it about 3 inches up. Then your cold mark is down here between the bottom, and after it's warmed up, it'll be up at the upper level between the hash marks on your dipstick. So I've done it with cold. I checked it with cold. Now I'm warming the engine up. And I'm just going to do a check with it warm, and I'm going to call this another job complete. So remember, these don't come with dipsticks, so you have to buy a dipstick. There's a little cap that you remove. I'll show you here. It has a safety feature on it too. Not a safety, but a clip, I guess you'd call it. Right there. Now when you break that, you have to kind of break the top of that off and then push that down, and then this will pull off. And that's how you fill and check the transmission. Now when you buy a new filter, it'll come with a new pin. Let me show you. Here's the filter box, and inside the filter box, I'll show you here, there'll be a new locking pin that you can put back into that cap, or you can reuse your other one. You broke the top off, you can still reuse it. What you do is, once you install it, push your little pin back up. You'll just be missing the top portion. Or if you got a new one like I do, just go ahead and replace that with your new one. So it's just a little locking pin that holds that down in place. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. All right, I do want to clarify something too. Depending on the dipstick that you buy and the model that you have, notice on mine it says the dipstick will protrude from the fill tube approximately 3 inches when inserted. On the 2002 to 2006 models, the dipstick will not protrude on the 2007 to 2010 models. So mine's an 07, so in fact this dipstick you do insert it all the way. So pay attention to whichever dipstick you buy, and based on the model year that you have. All right, and now I've ran this engine. I ran it down the road and come back. I don't know if you can see this on the dipstick, but I'm right here, right in the center, exactly where you want to be for hot. And that's with a hot engine. It tells you the temperature 180, I believe, somewhere in that range. And so I'm perfect. That's where you want to be when you check it. All right. Again, thanks for watching. All right, Sprinter 3500. I'm getting ready to flush the power steering oil. Here's what I'll be using. And there is a Mercedes-Benz additive you can buy. Here's the part number. to prolong the life of your power steering oil. I'll give you time to copy down that part number. And ultimately, the special German pliers to remove those special connectors. So let's get on with it. All right, now here's your power steering fluid reservoir here. The pump is located right below it. I'm going to follow down the line right here. The feed's at the bottom here. I'm going to come out and disconnect that, drop it down to drain the reservoir here. I've already jacked up the coach. I'm going to do a steer to steer, lock to lock. There's the coach jacked up. And steer to steer, lock to force that fluid out. So I'll put the key on the second position. I will not start the engine, but do the steering wheel lock to lock, and it'll force that out. Here's that hose coming down here. I'll have to take off where it feeds into the cooler there in the front end, and I'll pull that off, and that'll be my drain point, and that'll force out the fluid. Then I'll put it back on, refill it, add my additive, and call it a job done. So here we go. Now you could put a hose on that to catch that, but I want to show you that fluid shooting out as we jack the steering lock to lock. Look at that old fluid shooting out of there. I've got a drain pan down there catching all that, and I'll wipe it all up. And once we get it, I'll put the fresh in and we'll be good to go. Okay, now I've got a funnel on my reservoir. I'm going to put my additive in, and I'm going to start pouring in my new fluid. Well, after that, then I will lock to lock again. We've got to get air out of the system, make sure there's no air. So we'll do lock to lock as we feed the system, and I'll check the level. Yeah, you can see on your stick, it gives you the points. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but mark your points of where you need to be in your hash marks there. And this will be another job done. So again, a Sprinter 3500 doing a power steering fluid flush. Okay, now you can see the volume decrease as we lock to lock the steering now as it feeds the system. All right, and I'm going to keep going, and I'll check my levels. But as we feed the steering, it'll pull that fluid in, the new fluid. All right, Dodge Sprinter 3500, Itasca, Navion, View, Sprinter, Mercedes-Benz 3500 models. Rear differential oil replacement. I thought I'd video that real quick. The fill port is just a snap-on plastic, or I should say rubber cap. You just pop that out with a little screwdriver, no problem. You're gonna need a 14 Allen, pretty good size, and a breaker bar to break that. Then back that out and drain it. And then we're gonna open this and fill it till it starts overflowing. So we'll take that out, drain it, put it back in, fill till it overflows here. And let me get back and give you another view. So that's all it is for a rear differential fluid change out. I thought I'd show you when I'm using 75 weight to 85 German technology, Titan. And I'm going to use just this funnel with an extension there on it to basically refill this. Now I brought 3 quarts. We'll see what it takes, but that's all it is. And like I said, I'll cap that off and fill it till it overflows. It's still draining out now. All right, thanks for watching. Okay, and I did use just under 3 quarts, and I thought I'd show you how I had my funnel positioned. The extension piece going into the fill port. And as it started dribbling out and all, then I knew I was full, so I capped it back off. And that's it. Thanks for watching.